All right, so this is video 2 for lesson 2.1, solving one-step equations. So let's take a look at example 1C. In the first video, we went over our rule up top, and then we did a couple of the example problems here. Okay, so let's take a look at 1C. We are going to be using fractions, but don't worry about it. This one you can simply put in your calculator. Again, we have 6.6 equals V plus 4.2. Okay, so I'm going to draw my line straight down from my equals sign. And I want to think about how can I move this positive 4.2 over to this side of the equal sign to get my V, my variable, by itself. Okay, so I think automatically I need to do the opposite operation. Excuse me. In order to move this to the other side of the equal sign. Okay. So the opposite of a positive, the opposite operation would be a negative. So we're going to do minus 4.2 on both sides. Okay. So 4.2 minus 4.2 is 0. We're left with V. I'm going to bring down my equal sign. And then 6.6 minus 4.2 is going to be 2.4. Okay. So the correct answer for this one was 2.4. And that's simply because we move the 4.2 to the other side of the equal sign by doing subtraction. Okay, so now let's take a look at 1D. Okay, for 1D, we are trying to get x by itself. Okay, so we need to move this negative 4 to the other side of the equal sign. But first, we need to realize what operation is happening over here. Okay, so I want to think, is it addition? No, it's not addition, right? There's no plus sign between x and the negative 4. Is it subtraction? Although there is a negative sign here, it's not subtraction because that line would be underneath the 4, right? Is it multiplication? No, it is division. Okay, so this problem is actually division. All right, so this is division. And I want you guys to think about the opposite of division. When we think about the opposite of division, I always think multiplication. Okay, the opposite of division is multiplication. So we're going to be isolating this x. So we need to move this negative 4 to that side of the equal sign. Okay, and in order to do that, we need to do the opposite operation, which in this case is going to be multiplication. Okay, so I need to multiply both sides of my equation by this number, by negative 4. Okay, to show that, I'm going to put it in parentheses next to my two numbers. Okay, so these cancel each other out. I'm left with x. I'm going to bring down my equal sign. Okay, and then 2 times negative 4. Remember, a negative times a positive, we're always going to get a negative. We'll get negative 8. Okay, so we get x equals negative 8. All right. Now let's take a look at E. For E, we're trying to get x by itself again, so we need to get this 4 to the other side of the equal sign. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry, guys. I keep yawning today. All right. So I need to move this 4 to the other side of the equal sign. Okay. So what I need to do is figure out what operation is happening right here. And I know that if I have a number right next to a variable, it is multiplication. And the opposite of multiplication would be division. Okay. So I need to divide both sides by the number that's multiplying my variable, which in this case is 4. So I'm going to divide by 4 there, divide by 4 there. 4 divided by 4 is 1, so those cancel out. I'm going to draw my line down. I'm left with x, right? Because it's only this x, my equals sign. And then if I put 28 divided by 4 in my calculator, I would get 7. So for example 1e, I get x equals 7. Okay. All right. So for 1f, it looks a little bit different than any that we have worked with so far, right? So if I want to do f, first I need to realize what is happening with my variable. And I see that there's this negative 2/3 attached to it. And I want my variable by itself. So I need to move that negative 2/3 to the other side of the equation. Okay. And in order to do that, I need to do the opposite operation here. So the opposite operation here would be division, because this negative 2/3 is multiplying my variable. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2/3. Okay, so those cancel out. I'm going to draw my line down, my equal sign, and my m. Okay. And then I'm going to do this on my calculator. I need to do 10 divided by negative 2/3. Okay. So I'm going to bring out my calculate 84. Okay. Here's my calculate 84. And I'm going to do 10 divided by negative 2/3. When I put that in my calculator, 10 divided by negative 2/3, I get my answer is negative 15. Okay. All right. So I'm going to end this video here. Stay tuned for video 3 for lesson 2.1.